Hi guys, another travel vlog from Australia. In this video we're going to visit one of the wineries. So now we at the entrance to Mudgee winery region. There are many wineries, as you can see the list. I believe like 20 or 30 different wineries. It's around maybe 200-300 kilometers drive from Sydney, so let's say a few hours drive. And we booked one in advance. It's called Lowe Family Wines, this one. And I'm going to show you the full experience. We're going to do wine tasting, and it's not my first vlog visiting wineries. I have one from Cyprus, I have one from Spain, and now will be one from Australia. Let's go. Enter into Lowe Family Wine. Lowe Family Wines. Wow. Merlot. Wow. Tasting wine. Entrance. Wow. Hello. How are you? Wow. Okay, so yeah.
Cabernet Sauvignon from South Australia won the medal for the best Cab Sav in the world at the International Wine Challenge, the $25 wine. It doesn't cost that price anymore, but it did back then. Okay? So price is not necessarily a really reliable indication of quality. What I'm going to ask you guys to do today is focus entirely and only on what your own nose and your own palate tell you. Ignore what all the rest of us think about the wine. Ignore what you read about the wine or what someone else told you. Just because someone else loves the wine doesn't mean you will. So I want you to let loose your most opinionated, judgmental wine nerd self. You're welcome at this table. Inside that glass as you can, and you gently inhale. It's not a line of coke, don't snort it. Okay? So easy. So nearly 70% of the experience we call taste actually relies on smell. That's why it's vital that you do that. Okay? The second sip will sit on top of that. It'll seem a bit stronger. There's a bit hiding in there. A bit of a sneaky thing that some wines do. Right? So now I think you guys have got a good idea of what this wine actually tastes like. Whether you like it or not, that's entirely over to you. Darker, more pink coloured rosés. Now all my corkscrews are missing. Give me a second. So I want you to pick this up as soon as I pour it and do what I taught you, swirl, smell, taste. Just have one sip and build a very clear memory for yourself of what that smell and taste was, because it's wrong and I'm going to change it. So this is a very oaky Chardonnay. So this spent 8.5 months sitting in brand new French oak barrels. So there's a lot of oak flavour as part of this flavour profile. So hold your glass for me. I know I said don't hold the bowl of the glass, but I'm also running this rodeo. So guys, what we want to do from here, any questions about this, by the way? Did anybody not notice a difference with the Shardy? Remember that. It's my little gift to you. I didn't learn that till very late in life, and I drank a lot of Shardy at the wrong temperature, sadly. We're going. So guys, we're going to move to that station over there now, where we're going to try a couple of reds, and then we're going to move again inside. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So without even looking at it, I know it's open. Notice my hand did not come off the top. I'm in control of that cork. The biggest mistake people make is they take the wire cage off. At that point, they've just taken their hand off the top and they can blind someone. So don't do that. Leave the cage on. The cage is also your friend, because these little wires here, they act like reverse snow chains. They're going to give you a grip on the cork. It's never going to spin in your hand. So then you take that and you turn the bottle, not the cork. Bigger radius, more power. Much easier to do. And you should, it's not at all, because it's such a big circle that you're turning in against a small circle, you have more power. So it should never pop, it should do this.
Oh, okay.
Explosive discharge sends that wine flat faster. I know it's fun and all that, but that's an expensive wine. Yeah, I want it to taste as good as it can.
I should have the neighbour's roof.
So this is a sparkling Zinfandel. It's made the proper French way, so individually fermented in bottle to get the bubbles. And when you look at this, you'll find the bubbles are really, really small. It's what we call a fine bead. And that's a marker of properly made bubbling. This is not a mass-produced, fermented in a big tank product. Now, what you will find when you taste this, don't over swirl, by the way, slow down, With bubbles, that's the exception. One little flick is enough.
Okay.
If you keep going, it'll go flat. Those bubbles, as they burst, are doing the job of the swirling. They're delivering aroma. Okay? So now if you're tasting this, have a think about when it first comes in. More often than not, it tastes a little bit sweet to start with. But after a few seconds, the sweetness is gone and you got this really dry, savory finish. It's ticking a lot of boxes on the way through. Very complex flavor here. Okay? Now, not everybody likes this. Usually the Europeans go, what? Bubbly red? What is this all about? Right? My wife is Swiss. Whenever I go back, I love yanking their chains. So I always take bubbly reds back with me, and they go, how do you drink this stuff?
Very interesting, yeah. Bubbly red.
Christmas lunch. Rich food, hot weather, red wine that's cold. Oh yeah. So that's one of the very few styles of red wine you would serve way below room temperature. You get it cold, right? Get the warmer. Give it a good long swirl, see where your nose tells you. A bit bolder than a typical Australian Merlot. It's also very young. So part of your tasting experience of this is going to be that the tannins haven't settled down. Now, tannin is a thing in wine that, when it's young, makes it a little bit mouth drying and maybe a touch bitter. So I want you to notice that as well as the flavor, but just have one sip and hang on to the rest of the wine, because I'm going to come back with something that's going to fix that problem. Okay? So this is really useful wine knowledge now. So
Okay, so guys, I should...
swirl like crazy.
All right,
Go
let's
for
go.
it. Go for it.
Oh, so rich, huh?
A little bit of cheese. Put your glass down. I want you to grab a little bit of cheese. This is a really nice aged cheddar. I want you to chew on that a bit longer than you normally would. Just keep it in your mouth and keep chewing it for at least a minute. A bit longer would be better. Now what we're doing is, remember I said I gave you a wine that's just a touch too young, so it would have dried your mouth a bit. You would have felt it. Tannin does that. It's also quite noticeably bitter. Now, the minute you start eating any food that's high in fat and protein, I give you Exhibit A. Could have been a nice piece of salami, or a big fat juicy steak would do the same thing. Within about a minute and a half of chewing on that food, your body is going to make an adjustment to the balance of the enzymes in your saliva. It's going to start ramping up the delivery of amylase. Now, amylase has got nothing to do with digesting that, but it just so happens it gets triggered. It does change how you experience tannin really dramatically. So what I want you to do is, once you've swallowed that cheese, just give it a few more seconds and let most of the cheese flavor get out of the way, and then try that wine again. If I'm right, this increased level of amylase is going to make some of that rough mouth drying experience go away, makes the wine seem smoother, but also we're going to suppress the bitterness. So if you could look at a flavor profile of a wine, all of the flavors are here, and you could reach into that and you could grab just the bitter stuff and suppress it. What you've also effectively done is elevate all the other flavors. Very different wine when you go back. You still may not like it, but it's going to be very different. Are you normally a white wine girl? Is that the issue? Yeah. You're going to struggle a bit with the next few wines. But learn the lessons and see what you get. Okay? Yeah. It's a different game, right? Yeah. So what you've just seen is a live demonstration of the science behind the tradition of serving big tannic red wines with cheese boards, charcuterie platters, meat dishes. Makes the wine taste better. It's very simple. Georgie Mansour is her name. She used to be local. She lives in Sydney now. She's an old friend. So the proper name is an Arso. A-H-O. But they're pretty well known as Butler's Teeth. So in the 1800s or so, when the lords and ladies of England lived in their manor houses, they lived upstairs and the service staff lived downstairs, hence the term upstairs, downstairs. And the butler's job was to serve the wine at the lord's table, right? So now, the lord usually had a very good cellar in the basement of the building full of French fancy wines, and the staff never got to taste any of it. So what would happen when his friends came over and they were having a big banquet, by about the 4th or 5th bottle, they're all drunk as skunks. So the butler would go down for the 7th or 8th bottle, and he would stop in the kitchen, pull out one of these, pull the cork. You notice I didn't damage the top of the cork. Right? Pour some for all the kitchen staff, top it up with the cheap shit from the village shop, push the cork back in, go up to the lord's table and pull out one of these and make a big show of pulling the cork and all the ritual. Nice. Hence the term butler's thief.
Wow, that's very cool.
Because the actual corpse is for the butlers.
I just take the whole bottle and put it in my back.
No, that's a latest
And the final position
smell, taste.
in fun
Do it 3 times. Wait 10 seconds between each one. It's going to change quite noticeably. And it's not till the 3rd sip you're really tasting it properly. Okay? So the first sip basically is going to overwhelm your senses. Okay. So let me describe why this is so important. There are very, very few grapes that can give you as many different flavors and aromas as Zinfandel can. And this particular example of it is going to try and shove it in. It's going to go, what the hell are you guys yelling about? You'll feel it. All the focus went to the front, right? Okay. Very